Chapter 8. Friedrich. Wanyenyekevu was excited to meet someone knowledgeable about history, and spoke with confidence, saying, "One of my ancestors was Irish and many looking for work served as overseers during slavery. Some were kind and gentle and some were not. But my ancestor left that entire market during what they have called the Devil's Punch Bowl. Where 20,000 black men during the Civil War were murdered in a mass grave, a horrendous crime they tried to hide from history. Friedrich shook his head. Yes, even as years back him reminded that even after the Civil War, most horse trainers, grooms, and jockeys were all people in a sport, back then, called the Kentucky Derby. In fact, of the 28 winning jockeys of the first Kentucky Derby, 15 of them were our people. However, we were banned from the sport once the Jim Crow era began. But about 80 years later, we produced men like Marlon St. Julien, Kevin Krieger, and Oliver Lewis. Oliver Lewis was born into slavery but won first place in the inaugural Kentucky Derby of 1875. There was a young man. Friedrich paused. Damn, his name is at the tip of my tongue. Soap, that was his name. At 15, James Soap Perkins became one of the youngest jockeys to win the Kentucky Derby, and another man, Isaiah Burns Murphy, was known as one of the best jockeys to ever race. Yes, we all heard of Meghan Markle, but she was not the first black woman to become a member of the British royal family, as if it matters, but Queen Sophie Charlotte, the wife of King George III, was. Wanyenyekevu, smiling in agreement. Yes, I have heard of those, but did you know that during slavery, there were a series of revolts and rebellions by slaves against their masters? In Britain, they ended the British slave trade in 1897 through Parliament, but it wasn't the end of slavery itself. It wasn't a provision to free those who were already enslaved. At the same time, slavery persisted, especially in the Caribbean. The act only made the buying and selling slaves from British ships illegal. However, the slaves in Barbados thought it freed them, but they weren't, causing the Barbados Revolt of 1816. Wanyenyekevu smiled. I never been to Africa or any place other than Louisiana, until now, so I speak about my history and what comes closer to home, and I say that you own it, on an international level, and that's different for me. I might know it, but it sounds different from someone who more. Friedrich politely interrupted Wanyenyekevu. That's precisely it, because I never heard of this Devil's Punch Bowl. African history is, as you say, hit closely to home than American slavery. Wanyenyekevu smiled. That makes sense. Well, we can definitely learn what's missing in both of our understanding of them both. Friedrich shook his head. Yes, we can. Please continue. Wanyenyekevu smiled. Oh well, it was rare for our people to have a control over an enormous amount of land. However, Reverend Isaac Simmons, from Amite County, Mississippi, owned over 270 acres of debt-free land. His family worked the land, produced crops, and sold the wood of the land. A rumor was started that there was oil on his land, and a group of white men showed up on Simmons' land and warned him to stop cutting lumber. Knowing what was about to happen, Simmons consulted with a lawyer, a man who practices law, to work out the dispute and ensure that the property would belong to his children in the event of his death. Later, the men kidnapped and shot Simon's 3 times, throughout his tongue, and gave the rest of the family 10 days to get off the land. Like always, an all-white jury acquitted them, and they successfully stole his land. Friedrich paused, but it's especially sad when your own people, whether or not flesh and blood, betray you. That's something that could worse than a can ever do, whether for money, power, or position. It doesn't matter. Selling out your own is the worst kind of betrayal, and justice must be taken to heal that pain to bring about peace. And these demons are doing far worse than we as a people have ever encountered. Even saying what they were doing to our people, and it is excruciating to say the cruelty. Wanyenyekevu side. Ilikeyo, a man after my own heart, who loves about and knows a little about history. Friedrich smiled a little. Who, John Brown, the man mentioned in Frederick Douglass' letter to Harriet Tubman, a name almost unknown to most Americans, although he was the frontrunner of some of the most important moments in the 19th century. Brown's name was lost to history until 2020 when there was a miniseries about him named The God Lord Beard, but it did him just little justice for they showed him as a crazy man, a Bible fanatic. Like you have to be crazy to say the injustice of a race of people. Let me tell you, his ties to slavery not only led him into non-violent resistance but to active, violent terrorism, which would cause many deaths and led up to the Civil War. At 12, Brown recalls watching a black boy being beaten by a man with an iron shovel rigged in front of him. An everyday incident in America profoundly affected Brown's attitude towards slavery throughout his entire life. As he grew up and had a family, he always kept his disgust with slavery, but it had to take a tragedy to put his wheels in motion. Elijah Parrish Lovejoy was also an outspoken opponent of slavery, which his community met with intense hostility. He was sent death threats, his officers were attacked, and eventually, he was gunned down and killed. The slaying of Lovejoy disgusted John Brown, and he vowed to work for the rest of his life to carry on Lovejoy's work and oversee the abolition of slavery. A difficult task for Brown because he was broke and, on top of that, had health problems that had plagued his family. Yet, he would not give up and made his way to Boston to join the anti-slavery crusade. Brown and his family arrived in Boston when the city was transforming into a central hub of anti-slavery activity. Meanwhile, Boston was on a plateau that dealt with and was famous for slave farms. Wanyenyekevu side. Yes, I'm aware of that, and it produced the word motherfucker from that event, for slaves were forced to have sex with their children to produce better so-called stock like they do with bulls and horses. Friedrich said, we will have a talk in depth on that. I didn't know all that. I knew about the slave farm, but didn't know that part. He shook his head with disappointment. Damn. Anyway, Brown immediately threw himself into the organization and became a crucial figure in the running of the famous Underground Railroad. The government deemed the Underground Railroad deeply subversive. It led to the establishment of the Fugitive Slave Act, which permitted bounty hunters to capture slaves and return them to their so-called masters, and some were, well, you know. In response, Brown turned away from non-violent action and established a vigilante group known as the League of Gileadites to protect slaves from being captured. While bronze activities were primarily non-violent at first, this changed when pro-slavery forces invaded Kansas, where his sons lived. The violence during this period was the intense, but brutal beating of the anti-slavery Senator Charles Sumner. Brown was not forgiving and retaliated. Brown and his comrades murdered 5 of the men to days after the beating, which caused brutal violence. During this, one of his sons was killed. After saying the death of his son, it is not clear how many pro-slavery men were killed by Brown, but his willingness to use violence spread throughout the United States, for some hailed him as a hero and others as a dangerous terrorist. Over the next few years, Brown's violent activities would escalate. He gathered a force of 22 vigilantes and attacked Harper's Ferry, which contained an armory. The tension of the vigilante group was to seize the weapons and spark a revolution that would lead to the abolition of slavery by force. However, the Marines attacked the vigilantes, and many of Brown's allies and 2 more of his sons were killed. Brown refused to surrender, saying he would rather die than give up to the soldiers. He was knocked unconscious, arrested, and sent to prison. They charged and sentenced him to death. The court held him in total contempt, saying, "Wanyenyekevu interrupted Friedrich had so interfered with the rich, the powerful, the intelligent, the great or on behalf of any of their friends, it would have been all rigged, and every man would have thought it worthy of reward rather than punishment." Wanyenyekevu continued, they hung him to death in Virginia. He was 59. After his death, the Civil War broke out in the United States, leading to the abolition of slavery. Yes, I have definitely heard of John Brown, but I didn't know all that. Octen, according to my belief and knowledge, Africans are the first humans on earth. Many have heard it but do not believe it to be true. Because our history was altered, they and others have been fading erroneously. The oldest human remains found by archaeologists is that of a Negro, brown or black person, whatever you want to call us. It helps prove the fact that Africans created civilization and that various African tribes inhabited regions outside of Mother Africa. Just the other day I was doing some research on one such group, the Twa tribe of Africa, who were the first people to live in Ireland. They were also referred to as Akan by other African tribes and the well-known word leprechaun by the Europeans. Leprechaun comes from the Old Irish word luchorpn, a compound name composed of l, meaning small, and corp, meaning body. They venerated the Great Black Mother, and had women as leaders of their tribe. There have been many tales talked about leprechauns and their magical powers. Many people believed them to be a fairy tale, but in reality they existed. The Twas were small men and women who grew to about 4 foot 11 inches. They were skilled craftsmen who migrated from Africa to Ireland thousands of years ago and had advanced knowledge of medicine, metallurgy, textile, and clothing manufacturing. Excellent shoemaking, which the Caucasians at that time in human existence thought was magical. Various authorities have confirmed the presence of the Twa people in history and archaeology. British Egyptologists Gerald Massey, Albert Churchward, and the Scottish historian David McRitchie, as well as the British antiquarian Godfrey Higgins have researched this topic and they have shed light on the Twa people. Using names such as Black as Ethiopians, cum nigris gentibus, nimble forted blackamoors to distribute them. Butte partholans, Fomorians, Nemeds, Firbolgs, Tuatha de Danann, Milesians of Ireland, and the Pits of northern Scotland were all blacks. Historians describe them as dwarfs, dark elves, or leprechauns in Irish history. There is even a book by Davide Macricci entitled Ancient and Modern Britons, which stated that the wild tribes of Ireland were black men is hinted at by the fact that the wild Irishman is in Gaelic a black Irishman or dub Irianach. The word dub in Gaelic is black. Like in many parts of the world, there are accounts of Europeans committing, eliminating, or going to war with African tribes throughout history. Entire tribes have been wiped out throughout human history and there are one of them. Many believe that the Irish celebration of Patrick was the hunting dawn of the Twa people. The reason for the Irish holiday is a poem that said to reveal a hidden meaning, a moral or political one at that. According to the Irish, back in the 5th century, Patrick exterminated Ireland's snakes by driving them all into the sea. The Irish and Christians make it sound like he saved the Caucasian people from real dead snakes, but that is false. No evidence points to the existence of snakes, even being in Ireland. Ireland never had snakes. There are no snakes in Iceland, Hawaii, New Zealand, Greenland, or Antarctica for the same reasons. You say, Ireland was once connected to a large landmass during the Ice Age, and the land was far too cold for any cold-blooded reptiles to survive. Ireland became colder when the glaciers melted thousands of years ago, pouring more cold water between Ireland and its neighbors. Other animals, like wild boars, lynx, and brown bears, made it across. Also, only a single reptile, the common lizard, was able to make its snakes, however, missed their chance to survive in Ireland. So, there was no way Patrick could have chased snakes into the sea with his religious powers. The Twa people are the snakes he chased out and killed. The Twa people, just like many African tribes, were wise, just like the serpent. The Twa, just like many ancient African tribes, were also referred to as Naga, Nagar, and Negus, which loosely means serpent people, or people of the serpent. Friedrich nodded his head. I knew about the first part, but didn't know about the last part about the snakes. It makes sense that the Uraeus or serpent throne on Egyptian and Nubian royalty was known as the Nagar or the Negus, symbolizing wisdom, power, and protection. African cultures and religions have long used the serpent to represent eternal life, regeneration, power, protection, and wisdom. Wanyenyekevu nodded, it is fitting that the allegory of serpents clearly points to the Twa people. It's safe to say that Patrick was mostly our Lord and celebrated his role in eliminating and chasing the Twa into the sea, where they met their death. Everyone knows black people ruled Russia and Europe during the Dark Ages. Friedrich smiled, that fits as well, they called it the Dark Ages. Wanyenyekevu smiled, you sound like me, and I'm interested too. Know more about you, and how you came to this part of the country, all the way from South Echfuseme, Azania. Friedrich paused, you can say South Africa or Azania. We have our history here as well. Apartheid was a well-known fact, and we have our heroes and legends like Steve Biko, Shaka Zulu, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Nkosi Johnson, Thabo Mbeki, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and of course, Winnie and Nelson Mandela. Our history is not much different from here. Anywae, from North America, my ancestor Edie Jerome Uptite was a powerful warrior for Sabaoth, and my great ancestor, his mother, Akela Malek, said this to keep us on track. Wanyenyekevu interrupted him. Hold on, I heard that name, quite a few since I've been on this journey. She's your ancestor. Friedrich with a smile, yes, a noble woman in her time, she said, they may steal me crown, but they will never steal me glory. Those words are written in Midna. I will rise. Friedrich paused. She served Sabaoth and brought many technology and wisdom, and many of her descendants and followers kept the fight to the present day. She, too, kept the fight, and I did too until my father died, and I became one of the most infamous murderers of all time. I killed the men who murdered my father and anyone who spoke down on my people, no matter their color, race, trade, or gender. I was an angry militant drunk. Hell, if they talked badly about our women, they had traveled the world, killing racist people. When it was about your age. I was on my way to Israel to kill some of those fake as Jews, but I had to pass the old ruins of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, which claimed to possess the Ark of the Covenant or Tabot in Aksum. Where I met a man who later. Wanyenyekevu interrupted, mlezi. Friedrich sighed, but of course, mlezi. That was 15 years ago, and he have the gift of the Shekinah glory. Only enlightened people say it, I just blow like a bright light to them and I can charge you back up when you rework and done with a touch. That's my gift, a spiritual battery charger. Oh, and evil cannot come near at all. It burns them to come at least 15 yards. I can feel their spirit burning, like a tingling sensation. Wanyenyekevu was excited about hearing Friedrich's story. But how did you get here? And in jail, on top of that. Friedrich laughed, that's a long story, but it involves that man that was just arrested. Wile here, I found that book in my tail, and I just started reading it to help the team pass when I got to that part that you heard me reading. I heard mlezi say, met Frederick Douglass, Harriet, and you. Come to me tell. Wanyenyekevu shook his head, well then, come meet the rest of us. Friedrich sighed, te 12, rigged. Well, 11, igwes, imake 12. I was supposed to meet 11 more people who were Sabaoth's chosen warriors to lead the way. They entered the room where Jome and the rest of the warriors were waiting. Before Wanyenyekevu could introduce Friedrich to them, the stone's prophets gave them began to shine. Elisha and Elijah sighed, the man with the glow. Friedrich smiled, saying, that's 11, including myself. Where is number 12? Just then, Queen walked in. There she goes, number 12. Queen, confused, asks, what is he talking about? Queen shook her head, never mind we need you'll in this meeting, but I'll tell them you'll are still waiting. Wanyenyekevu shook his head, no, well come no and at later. Walking alongside the Queen, the warriors were retired, and Friedrich said to Wanyenyekevu, take care of your people and service about with all your heart, and he shall bless you. Wanyenyekevu said, I have done that, haven't I? Everyone shook their heads, yes. Friedrich then said, everyone except one. Wanyenyekevu stopped, uho. Friedrich smiled, everyone except yourself. Rest and build up what you have gotten so far, because a hour is coming and you must be prepared. Love is a mighty thing. He looked over at Queen as he continued. Sabaoth wants you to find love and make yourself complete. Then he looked at Queen again, and they continued to walk toward the meeting. Wanyenyekevu talked about what Friedrich said, but as soon as they entered the meeting room, Dark Eagle said, Wanyenyekevu, we are still determining how to divide the land. We don't say how to organize the people, nor the land. Wanyenyekevu talked for a minute and said as Dark Eagle projected a map on the wall, we are now in possession of land from Picacho Peak State Park to Tucson, from Tucson to the Watchtower, from the Watchtower to Madinat Altanwir, and from Madinat Altanwir to Colonia and Huath, but Abenians still surround us. Poenit to the north of us, El Paso, Texas to the east, and the Isles of California to the west. I adviseu encase ourselves with the military. The warriors and their families, then the civilians. We must be structured to keep order and piety, and I must check all that live here and search their hearts. A huge task. But it must be done. We cannot live in piety when evil is in our midst. It will take some time, but it's time that is settled down and do the will of Sabaoth because a great war is coming and all must be enlightened. All will not be warriors, but all will be enlightened. Sabaoth knows what we need, and he shall supply our needs. Once the enlightenment is finished, we will have all we need. Studying the map, a while longer, he continued, Friedrich will be our adjudicator, and the rest of the warriors will have their army. Friedrich turned to Wanyenyekevu, may I add, at first, this was Sabaoth's world, but the day that this planet rejected him and was about to be destroyed was when it became Satan's turn to rule this planet. Satan was trying to control it from the beginning, but now, it's Satan's world because the evil hearts of men. Sabaoth has allowed Satan to control it while Sabaoth gathers his people. We will hear him bark, meaning we will have a few battles here and there, but he is still chained up and cannot harm us until he is released from his chains. Think not, he doesn't know what you have done because he does, but on a day, he will get lost. So, clear the evil-hearted men from among us, regardless of race, color, or religion. I don't care if it's your mother. An evil-hearted person must not live within your walls or know what you are doing, lest Satan traps in and takes all you have, even your soul. For we are what we've done in this life, and what has been done to us treated us. So that is what he will use against us. Therefore, we must seek enlightenment and let Sabaoth use us as he pleases. Friedrich paused, Blaise visited me, and he said that Sabaoth will steer in the waters of the Gulf and the Atlantic as in a great boat, and his fist will go through the bottom of the earth and will send a slow flood, and many cities will be underwater, and some will disappear forever. We will be in many battles, but after this event and the lands become dry, a great battle shall come, and we must send all who cannot fig to the home of the south until the battle is over. Friedrich held his head down. I would rather die for Sabaoth than die for myself. And the people heard his words and repeated them. I would rather die for Sabaoth than die for myself. Friedrich continued, we must pray the prayer of Sabaoth when we go into these battles. Ni alliance is with heaven, Ngere dwell tose uho reside inte holy hige realms. It is to them me commit this battle, and they will fight for me. Selah. Friedrich then shouted. Usisahau. They looked at Friedrich and he smiled. It means never forget. They all shout usisahau. For hours, Dark Eagle and his family, alongside the wanyenyekevu and the warriors, stayed up all night organizing their plans and deciding what to do and how to do it. After the meeting, everyone was tired, but they all agreed with this new plan. Wanyenyekevu walked into his room and stared at the candles as he sat on the corner of his bed. Thoughts rushed through his mind. He grabbed his notepad and wrote, "Lost and found." Looking for the lost found to see if he need to recover a couple of things. Talk to people along with me to help me see. We walk up an escalator, then took some zigzagging steps. Followed by some sliding hallways. At the end of the hallways was a sign. Lost found. I saw a young lady I haven't seen in 21 years. We didn't you come through the side doors, you'll messing up my floors. I replied all these years, you still yelling, fussing, and cursing. As I rushed to go toward the back. The sight of her brought back pain, betrayal, and tears. On me white there. I say someone I hadn't seen in 15 years. A rude bastard, who was man. I asked, why are you still mad? He replied, oh, you're bad. Confused look on me face, as he rushed to get a gat. Started shouting up the plate, I felt disgrate. Told me friends, who were with me then, let's get out of this plate. But I thought you wanted to find something you lost, on a side. I replied with a smile. I just realized I didn't lose anything, I dropped those things on purpose. Because they hindered me life. As crazy as it sounds. I lost them, so I called the phone. He wrote, oh me, oh me. Oh me was the cry of an old man I once knew. He prayed to the Father about his blessings, his trials, that he endured during his lifetime. 80 years in the world, some good and of course, some bad. Many sad. Oh me was his reply. Remembering the days, frustrations in life. But at all times he had a smile etched upon his face. Now, as he listened to him pray, having that conversation with his maker. Thinking he's going to leave a son on a day. Oh me. I said. To think about him. What happened to him? It seemed like it was just the other day, a stroke rushed across his heart. Lost one of his legs. Now praying to die. I sit in his house, seeing the grandkids playing. His accomplishments are great and many years have passed. Hoping on a day, I can say, before I die. Oh me. He flipped the page over and wrote, Black Harmony. Black Harmony is a thing of the past. Some might say, and even say, and he do agree. But how can I stop this thing that goes on in this day and age? There is no unity, like in the days of slavery. When money can't say all united into black harmony. Black artists, black business, black corporations grow stronger and stronger. But black on black crime fills the air. foolishness, selfishness, drugs and alcohol, seems to be our God. But no, that's a lie. All I can do, so it seems, is just three. But me eyes have no more tears. Nothing but fair, awaiting black harmony. He wrote lust. What is lust? An intense longing, desire, or need. A craving that many will fulfill at any expense, no matter who it may affect. Selfishness. Is it only sexual? Hell no, that's lasciviousness. You can lust after anything that's conceived. And lust, when it's conceived, brings forth sin. Sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. That's a fact, not fiction. Lust for money was my lust until I had a dream. Remembering the wisdom of Solomon, the courage of Elijah. Then I remembered that dream. My heart was, some would say, callous at that time. The day I laid my head down. I was in this room with a ladder that went upward toward a light. Started climbing this ladder and people started to fall. There were old women and old men climbing slowly, but he was in a hurry to get to the top. So he started going up the ladder, with no concern about the others. Trying to get to the top, people started to fall. He didn't care at all. Then as he went up, the younger the people got. But hell! He was scared, just wanted to get there to the top. Non-stop. The light got brighter, he got higher. He got older. Many were falling as my selfishness got stronger. Realized the top had no end. It was too late. He had no family, he had no friends. Driven by lust and dead in my sins. Last he wrote, Ibe me. No, they say me dread grow too long. Yes, gone too far. But me gotta learn just a few more things, both me dreads on me head. Patiente, they have shown me. Wisdom is what it is, me dreads on the head are so important to me, and only me. Cause I did all things to be someone else. Me dreads help me to be me. Uset a dress to impress, no, I dress for my own success. I start, ok. Can I be me? Saying. For none else will I try to be. I don't really talk like this. But me try to understand all my fellow man. Cause me been a lot of places, met a lot of races, a lot of fates. I read a lot of books, both my lord. He showed me. Remain low. Humble to this mess, that cause many to be stressed. Yeah. I look in the mirror, a humble man of God. So I trying to go far for I trust in only Jah. No, not a Christian. According to the new standards. No Muslim, no Rasta, Ibe me.